She has been exploring and expanding the boundaries of painting and is continually experimenting with accessible commercial materials to create large format wall, floor, sculptural, and installation works. She's also a very, very talented writer. If you have read her blogs, or she is a contributing writer to Vanguard Culture, the San Diego Visual Arts Network, and she also has a blog. And I suggest you go to her website and you can sign up for her emails or read her blogs or get to know her, and it'll be truly rewarding. And I'm excited to hear her talk about this show. It's a lot of work to do, one-person installation, and she looked at the space and put a lot of time and effort into creating a special piece for the show, as well as showcasing works that really add to the exhibit, I would say. Anyway, I'm really proud of her, and I'd like to introduce Cathy Breslaw.
Okay, so first of all, I want to thank Betsy Lane very much, because she basically is the curator of this show. She came to me and asked me, did I want to do this particular exhibition. I was very excited to participate. I also want to thank Ann Telford, who's the new gallery director, and all the work that she's done to help me along the way, and Randy, who came along early that helped me, and there's just so many people that helped install the show, including a lot of the maintenance people here that provided a lot of extra help that really goes into putting on any kind of art exhibition. There's a lot that goes on that people don't realize, and so I just want to acknowledge those people. So basically, I wanted to start out by saying that I am standing here tonight for one reason, and that's because my grandfather, my maternal grandfather, who was also an Orthodox rabbi, left Lumza, Poland, and brought his family to the United States to create a better life and to, leave religious persecution. And even though I didn't meet him because he died several years before I was born, I believe that he would be very gratified to know that I'm standing here tonight in a Jewish art center at a Jewish gallery presenting my work. So I think that's really pertinent, and I thought I'd mention that. So when I started thinking about this particular show, I've never really done artwork that had anything to do with any religious connotations or Judaism in the past. But since, I was provided with this opportunity, I really started thinking about it. And also the season of the year that I was given was the fall, which is the Jewish High Holy Days. So that started me on another sort of exploration of what kinds of things I could do. And as a result of that, I started thinking about and researching and reading. Of course, I was raised going to temple at all the high holiday services and so forth. And what came to me was the object of the shofar. And for those of you who don't know what a shofar is, it's an ancient instrument made from a ram's horn that's been used for centuries for a variety of purposes. But in the Jewish High Holy Days, it sounded 100 times each day for Rosh Hashanah. So I recall the sound of it. It's got kind of a very raw, unusual sound, and it's very difficult to play. And I decided to use that as the center of my basic installation that I was going to do for this particular show. And basically, when I started thinking about what is the shofar and what does it mean, it basically talks about waking up. It's the time of year that we're reviewing our lives, we're thinking about, we're awakening to what's going on. It's a wake-up call, basically, and thinking about your life and renewing your life and going inside yourself. So that the central installation in the gallery there is all about that. So moving on, I also have a number of other pieces in the gallery space, another installation. I also did a lot of experimenting with materials. I thought about using paper and wire, which I had never really done before, and that was a really fun, interesting experiment for me. So the pieces that are on the wall that kind of hang off the wall are the result of a lot of experimenting and a lot of taking my time and figuring out. And a lot of the work that's in this show is very organic. The large round piece that's on the wall is made from an industrial mesh material. I started out as a painter many years ago, and when I went back to school, I started experimenting with an industrial mesh material which we found on a trip, a business trip to Taiwan, which is a transparent, you've probably seen in the gallery space a lot of transparent materials, and they're made from a plastic mesh. It looks like it's fabric, but it's really made from plastic. So I've been using that for quite a long time, and so a lot of the other pieces are made from that particular material. There's a whole series of pieces along the back wall which are called Atmosphere, and there are a number of different pieces of varying colors, and I use spray paint, and I let lots of layers within each piece, which has a lot of relevance to light and space. Which is another area that I've thought about a lot. I'm outdoors a lot. I do a lot of running and biking, and I like being outdoors. And so light and space has always been a very important component to my work. Let's see. Oh, okay, so trying to remember all the different pieces in this show. So I have a series of paintings which I did, which I haven't done paintings for a very long time. And I've been reading about the Japanese tradition of suminagashi painting, which I don't know if you all know about, but it's where they take a big vat of water, just plain water, and you carefully drop droplets of paint on the surface of the water and creating a design or composition, and then you lay the fabric or paper on top of the water and very carefully lift it, and creates a whole entire painting, just like that, like moment in the moment. So I did a number of those, and the ones that are here on the wall are the result of the ones that I like the best. I mean, I did a number of them and then found the ones that meant most to me. So that's that part of the space. I'm trying to think if I left anything out. No, I don't think so. Oh, I did. Sorry. There's another series on this wall here, on this back wall, called Swept Away. I generally work in this series. So I do, when I work, I kind of do a body of work. So I do a lot within one type of work. And this one's called Swept Away. There's one called Swept Away at Sea, Swept Away at Midnight, and Swept Away at Sunset. And it's the idea of things blowing around in the wind, kind of like the sort of the fragility of life and the momentariness of life, and the fact that they're hanging off the walls, partially hanging off the walls is sort of gives you that idea that they're moving in time. So that would finish up with that. Now, if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them at this time. Does anybody have any questions they want to ask? Yes. Oh, okay. So Wendy is asking how delicate or not delicate are these pieces. I would say that you don't want to pull on them, but if you want to touch them, it's fine with me. So yeah, you can touch it, but just they're not totally fragile, but they're delicate. Yes, right. If you break it, you own it, I guess. So idea. So. Any other questions anybody might have? Go ahead.
I'm interested in the Torah. I'm trying to show for you.
Mm-hmm.
It might have to key out. I think I could read it, but
Oh, okay. Okay, okay. So, the question is, what are the words that are on the hanging pieces in the installation having to do with the shofar? And the central one says the call, which is the call to awaken. There's the word awaken, renew, forgive. And that would be, and reflect. There's 5. Yeah.
What kind of art education you had before producing these?
Oh, okay. I have a master's degree in fine art from Claremont Graduate University in Claremont, California, up in the Los Angeles area. I've worked with lots of different artists privately. I worked with the person who was the founder of the art program, the MFA program at Claremont, who is Roland Reese, who is a longtime established artist in Los Angeles. I worked with him privately for 4 years. I've taken lots of different classes over the years in art of all kinds: watercolor painting, acrylic painting, mixed media painting, sculpture, drawing, everything pretty much. So, yeah.
So when do you know that you're done with the series and you move on to research, discover in yourself what you want to do?
Okay, so the question is, if I have it right, is that when you work in a series, at what point do you move on to the next group of work? And that's a really hard question to answer because it's really different for every series of work that I do. It depends on so many different things. I mean, it's like an intuitive. I've been an artist for so long. I've been showing my work professionally since the early 90s, 1990s. So for me, it's more of an intuitive, personal decision that also has a lot of more technical things connected to it too, but because I've been doing it for so long, it's like very hard to say, so.
When you move from one series to start something else, you probably want to explore some other medium,
Mm-hmm.
and that in itself is a lot of work.
Yes, yes. Yeah, so you're asking the question, the experimenting with a lot of other mediums is a lot of work and a lot of frustration and all that. Yeah, and I really, like in the last year, I made a decision that I was going to learn new skills. And so I taught myself, how to work with paper and wire, how to work with how to do plaster casting, how to do sumanagashi painting, which I've been painting, pretty much all my life. But as far as that particular skill or that technique, that traditional technique, it's all things I taught myself because I just feel like I need to stretch myself as an artist. I feel like I don't want to just do the same thing. I want to keep on growing and expanding and extending my skills. So, good question. So, yeah, Leslie. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Well, that was the first for me also. So Leslie's asking, how did I apply the embroidered letters to the material that's in the center the shofar installation, and that I had that done by an embroidery shop. Yeah. So, yeah.
In the Japanese painting,
Uh-huh.
like method of using sumigashi,
Yeah.
what kind of paint are you actually putting through?
Okay. I'm using acrylic, liquid acrylic paint, and also some Japanese inks that are specifically called sumanagashi inks. So, yeah. Anything else? I mean, anybody can ask me a question later in the gallery as well, so if you're finished. So I also wanted to say that today is as everyone knows, is September 11th, which is a day that all of us remember in our lives that marks an important moment for each of us. And I think it's also a time to honor all the military and the people that serve us around the world. And I wanted to acknowledge Lieutenant Adam Cohen, who is my son, who has been deployed all over the world for on various missions, and I'm very proud of having him, yeah. So, that's it. Thank you. Thank you.